I want to talk about active and passive voice. One of the things about active and passive voice is that we learn active voice at the very early stages of English. Passive voice is generally taught at the intermediate stage of English. Is that good or bad? I don't know. I think that if you want to speak like everybody else, then they're both very important in everyday speech, everyday English. I teach American English. My name is Bill, and again, thanks for joining me today. Hey, students learn active voice at the earliest stages. We just talked about that, right? And it is true. I think that passive voice is important as well. It's usually taught at pre-intermediate or above. Most of the time it's taught at the intermediate level. So, how important is passive voice? Well, we're going to talk about that just for a minute. I think that students should be introduced to passive voice at the earliest stages of English, and that's for a number of different reasons. To stress the importance of the verb to be and participle to verbs. In other words, third form, right? You have all three forms: be, the verb to be, was, were, and been. When you're learning your verbs, learn all three forms at the same time. So you have be, was, were, been. Been is participle to, or the third form of a verb. And of course, all verbs are very important, but learn all three at the same time. Both passive and active voice are used in everyday speech, and that's why it becomes important. Students should study verbs in infinitive, past simple, and participle to. We just talked about that for a short time. Active voice is when the focus is on the subject of a verb. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And passive is when the focus is on the object with a verb. So, active voice. Ernest Hemingway wrote this book. That's active. We can do a lot of different examples here, but I want to keep it simple for you today. So this would be active voice, past simple, right? Ernest Hemingway wrote this book. Very simple stuff. Now, passive voice. This book was written by Ernest Hemingway. I put in the term by Ernest Hemingway because it's an easy way to determine passive voice. All books have a title, they have an author, and when you look in a book, it'll say this book was written, or written by, or just by the author. That is passive voice. We see it in all of the books, but we don't learn passive voice until we get somewhere close to pre-intermediate, intermediate English. So this book was written by Ernest Hemingway. You'll see that the verb to be is in there, was, yes? If I said is written by, it would be right now, present simple. Had been written by would be past perfect, right? So in this context, what we're talking about here is passive voice, and again, the focus is on the object, this book. You'll notice the focus changes when we use passive, and again, is it the object or the subject? And that's what changes in passive voice. In active voice, we want to refer to the writer. Maybe he's the author of many books. We want to talk about Ernest Hemingway, right? In passive voice, we refer to one of many books. So, passive is formed with the object as a subject, so we switch it around. Yeah, that's a simple way to think about that. And we add the verb to be and participle to. There's the third form of the verb, right? Not infinitive, not past simple, but participle to, third form. Here are two more examples that I'll share with you today. Active. American farmers grow corn. Very simple, right? American farmers grow corn. American farmers grow potatoes. American farmers grow carrots. That's active voice. Let's take a look at passive. corn is grown. Now look, corn, now we're talking about corn. It's the object, right? We reversed that. Before we were talking about American farmers, now we're talking about corn, right? So corn is grown by American farmers. You'll see grow, grew, grown. Third form, right? So corn is grown by American farmers. Is of course the verb to be. This is present simple passive. Now let's take a look at what else we have here. Notice how I changed the focus, the subject from American to corn, right? American farmers. Study your verbs in all three forms. You'll speak English in no time. So, hey, refer to your language resources for more examples. I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel.